So I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Vienna Utility Board for May the 19th, 2023. Let the record reflect that all members of the board are present today. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the April the 21st, 2023 meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? No objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. We move on to unfinished business. We start as always with water quality testing.
Latest reports all come within compliance, so I think it's looking good.
Yes, it is. And if you've looked at the water quality resorts, they've now even given more detailed sampling for the different categories and what have you. So it's actually a much better report. So next item on our agenda is the ARP discussion. We're still in good shape with our ARP funds. We still have the money set aside for the pumps and for 45th place and the other things that we've talked about. Is there any questions or what have you for the ARP discussion? All right. The 5-year plan. Is there any additions or comments this afternoon on the 5-year plan? Okay. All right. 45th place Waterline update. Craig.
Talked to Mr. Weber yesterday, the day before. He will be moving in on Tuesday to saw cut the road. Spend the rest of the week doing that. And the following week, holiday week, will be off Monday. He'll be coming in Tuesday, start excavation at 41st Street and 4th Avenue, working toward 45th place, then back out to Grand Central. We have went in there. We've got permission from the landowners to allow us to make a temporary road across their properties. So both locations will be tied in now. So if we're working on 4th Avenue, 41st Street, have the road closure, residents can go out and through 45th place and back out to Grand Central. And when we have the road closure at the end of 45th place and make a tie-in Grand Central, those residents can travel back out through and back out 4th Avenue, back to 41st. So there will be no blockages of traffic. They will, we have police department, fire department down there. They've approved it. So we're good to go.
When you say he's going to start saw cutting on Tuesday,
yes.
Are you referring to 3 days from now? Yeah. 4 days?
Yes.
Have you given the homeowners their letter yet?
We're going to post it Monday.
What?
We're going to post signs and stuff Monday. So.
You're going to put the no parking signs on Monday, and the letters are not going in the mail, right? We're going to deliver these. Okay. Okay. So they know what's going on. Okay. And we're doing this for the residents on 4th Avenue. Are we doing it for the ones on 45th place?
Yes.
Okay. That's all we can do. We've met with the owners several times. I've met with the residents at 45th place several times in the last few days to make sure everybody understands. This is what we have to do because when the connection's made at Grand Central, there is no exit out of 45th place. And the other thing is that we have to do this in order to get the ambulances in case someone would get sick or if there was a fire. There is no other way to do it. So you've made it clear that the road is in there is a temporary road. That if the landowners want to leave it, we will leave the road in there, but there will be no permanent right-of-way to connect 4th Avenue to 45th place. Once we're done with that project, that will go away. So everybody so far seems to be happy. I don't know. Have they cut the one big tree out yet?
I have not noticed. It was required to have it cut down by Monday.
Okay.
I have not went back there today to check.
Okay.
There's another project.
Okay. So any questions on 45th place? It looks like, and the contract was for 60 days, but Mr. Weber doesn't think it'll take that long in order to get it done. He does have that much time.
I did speak to him over the 60 days. There might be a little run on that because I asked him to come through. That's why he's saw cutting Tuesday, the saw cut where the ditch is gonna be. Then, once he gets everything hooked up, water lines, he's gonna come back and start removing drive lane concrete after that, instead of removing the concrete as it goes through, then have to make temporary driveways and cause water issues and a bunch of damages. It's saw cut, remove that section, come back, job's completed, start removing the whole concrete, replacing it.
So you're saying now that he's changed his,
No, it just might take it off in the weather, but
I know, you're saying he's changed his plan and he's not gonna do 180 feet and then move on to the next 180 feet?
not 40, but it still stays that way. But what he's doing is going to cut the ditch out, place the whole water line, then come back and move the section. He's going to lay 140 feet of water a day in that ditch line. Once he gets done with the complete project, then he's come back and move the whole road in respect, replace it all at one time. Instead of removing the whole road and digging a ditch, causing a mess. He's going to cover the ditches, gravel backfill, so that section of road will stay open.
So how is he gonna maintain traffic flow if he tears the entire street up at one time?
Well, when he comes back and reports concrete, what he'll do is, like say from 4th Avenue, 41st Street, 4th Avenue, he'll start there and remove like 100 feet of concrete, 120 feet, he'll pour back 100 feet. And he'll come back and move another 100 feet of concrete for that. This keeps leaving down. He won't tear the whole street at one time. It just pieces, like you lay the water line. 140 feet a day, concrete, you might get 100.
So are we going to make 4th Avenue one way?
It's not going to change. It actually is better what he's supposed to do.
Okay.
It actually leaves that line open.
Okay.
It'll just be a ditch line. We'll keep it better shape than the first.
Just shoots them across
Steve,
the
old
bow
buddy.
every time, doesn't it?
Let me just ask a question. You think there's any one-way signs we could borrow for a couple weeks? Because when the phones ring off the hook, I promise you, he's gonna rethink that one-way business. Okay,
It actually would. It'd be much better what they're supposed to do. So
okay. He's a good contractor, so.
he is.
All right. Anything else on 45th Place? All right. So the next item today is the 12th Street Lift Station Improvement Project.
Still waiting on pumps. I called Tuesday, they had not a firm date yet.
In a year.
There's not a chance we're gonna get knocked out of this, is there? I mean, we will get our pumps, right?
Just when, it's a question.
You have one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything on the 12th Street lift station? All right. So Burgess and Niple Water and Wastewater System Improvement Project.
I don't have any, if you have anything.
I do not at this time. Okay. Waiting anxiously, but yes.
Announcement.
Pardon me?
No announcements.
Correct. Senator Capito made her announcements yesterday. So my guess is they're spreading them out a little bit so that they make these announcements that they come, full war. I don't know. We will see. Dredging of Pond Run and the dry dams. There again, that project is still on hold. We're awaiting information. As soon as we get it, you all know about it. But I'm sure that whatever happens will make the news. Okay. So 28th Street Storm Drainage Improvements, Phase 1, project update.
Yeah, we're just about ready to go to bid. I need to meet with Craig one more time just to go through and make sure we got everything covered. So I don't know if we've got how we're gonna pay for it now. If we get ready to bid, are we okay to bid or?
Well, yeah. We won't know until we go to bid how much it's actually gonna cost.
Right, the money that's been appropriated through the ARPA fund at this point was just.
Yes,
Okay.
okay,
You got it, that you did approve that.
yes.
Okay.
But we don't have a clue what it's gonna cost until it goes out to
Yeah,
bid,
that's what.
and then we'll have to figure out how to pay for it. Okay? And we still have money left, but it just depends on whether it wants to be spent there or not. But we'll need to know what the cost is. So,
Yeah, my recollection is we had two, if we're talking, make sure we're talking about the same thing, we had two allocations of our funds for two projects that were sent from from city council to the utility. Now, the way those funds are, I think the resolutions were awarded for those two specific projects. I don't believe that it specified just engineering, but it could be used to cover the engineering costs. The only thing that we've generated to this point would be the engineering costs, because we're still drafting the designs and what have you to see if those projects are feasible. I think that's where we're at on the status of all these. Yeah, I've got the two resolutions here somewhere.
okay. Well, we'll have that discussion once we know how much it is.
But if you're asking what the authorization is that the money has been provided to the utility board for two specific projects. And it doesn't have a specific designation of just for engineering. It's for the completion of the projects.
Okay. So the next item is the annual review of the stormwater management program.
We talked about this at last meeting. We just asked, we have to do this annually. The plan, the original plan and the annual reports are both on the website for anyone to review. I didn't know if anyone had heard or had comments on either of those.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't review them. Okay, so for me, I'm going to have to go back and do that, Mike. I just forgot. I missed it. So I'll do that. If you all haven't had a chance to go and look at the stormwater management plan, nothing changes really, but we have to review that thing to make sure that we're doing all the things that are required. And I mean, we've always checked every box, so I'm sure that we're going to be fine.
Yeah, Lori keeps good tracks.
So anyway, put that back on for next month, please. All right. And then we'll make sure we get it done. An update on our lead service line inventory.
And we need to really schedule a kickoff meeting just to see where we are. I know you guys have gotten so far. We just need to pull out the list and make sure we have some schedules. It's due. Inventory is due in about 17 months. So I'm sure we did.
So that was my question for you is, what kind of a deadline are we working on? 17 months?
Yeah, it's October 26th or 7th, somewhere in that range.
So are there steps that need to be taken along the way, or is it just you must have this thing in place?
Yeah, that's the only. There's no other dates involved. So.
Okay.
But we do need to do internally.
Oh yeah, I know. We've started on this a year ago. Okay, because of all the crazy things that have to be tested and all that stuff. Okay. Craig, schedule that kickoff meeting, would you? And get Mike whatever help he needs. All right.
Would you like to be involved?
Actually, I don't. I mean, you and the guys are the ones that are going to be doing the actual inspections, and so I'd say probably Jason, maybe Dave, but anyone you feel like should be there is fine. It's just we need to make sure, based on Mike, making sure we're doing this in the right pathway says, here's what we need to do. So,
I know what kind of guys, but I just want to let you all, if you all want to be.
they're welcome to come, but it's one of those things where all they're going to be doing is gathering data. Okay. We need to make sure that we have, a lot of the places are now sending out surveys. Well, we've already done that. But if you didn't get a survey returned, then you have to make a list to go actually inspect it yourself. And so we need to make sure that those things are being scheduled in because, people just don't fill out forms. It's just, they don't,
Anymore.
it's a simple thing. Walk downstairs and look at your pipe coming in your house. And it even tells you how to do it. So it would be so much easier for every person to go down in their basement, take a look and say, oh, I got a piece of copper pipe right there. I'm okay. If it's, cast iron or whatever, then that's where you need to, do the second step. But I mean, I know that much. Okay. It's the things I don't know that I want to make sure that you know. So anyway, why you think you're going to need some help?
I guarantee it. There's no way I got enough manpower to do full inspection of these houses. I mean, I just won't. We got other projects going on. It's going to take a lot of work and time. It'll be very difficult because I don't want to send a guy in a house by himself.
Well, with today's, the COVID thing and all that business, it changed things. Okay. But I can tell you that this is a priority, that we have to get this done. We're not going to get in trouble with the feds and all that over this stuff. We will complete this. And so if we need to get like a summer intern or two in here to try to get these inspections done by the end of summer, then that's what we'll have to do because we have to gather this information. So, but anyway, set the meeting. We'll try to determine those things, Mike, and make a plan to get, that information gathered. So I guess we go to the Scada system.
Coming next week on that. Scada, I mean, we approved it work order for you all, and I'm sure he's doing engineering on it, design work.
Did you see was this on the attached?
I have not what to say.
Oh,
I didn't.
yeah. Okay. You think it
You
was?
said it's Lori?
Yes.
You send this to Lori?
Yes.
An email?
Yes. But really, I mean, what it looked at, we really were down to, we gave 3 options, but really it's the 2 options. There's the existing water system that is using radio that's working fine. We don't think there's any reason to change the water side. So the question is on the sewer side, do we keep using radios, or do we switch over and use cellular based? What did I say? So we looked at the 2 different options, and I know I got a chance to see this, but for the cost for using radio based, it was $300,000 for the upgrades, basically the system, and then $24,000 would be for the additional antenna poles. So this is going to have, there's not a system there today, so we have to be able to get the antennas installed. So that was a total of $324,000, and of course there's no cellular. Yeah, I have a hard time with that word. No phone charge. So the second option again is the phone base, the $300,000 for the capital cost, and then you're looking at a monthly charge of somewhere around $300.
And this is for the Scada system only.
Correct. I don't know, Greg, if you had a preferred or.
Yeah, the radio is free to operate. We have to maintain it, but we just want to do a study on if the radios is working or not, right?
Well, that was what, we figured poles there just in case.
And cellular's nice. We've got some other options with cellular coming up. I know that our data, other cell service like $6 a year. I'm not sure why it'd be $300 a month.
Maybe for all the sites, I don't know how we calculated that.
18, 20 sites. Not a lot. We got quote the other day, $6.
$6. Yeah. Per
Every 15-minute data.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's on a secure network. So.
Yeah. Did you know what network this is? The one that that Craig's talking about is the First Alert. That's the one that the police and fire department use. That's a pretty solid network right there.
Yeah.
I think he probably just used Verizon or something.
AT&T has contract for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the radios would be fine. I don't have to worry about the monthly fee that well. Whatever it is. So, and it's working well for us in the water system. It's less. It's like be hacked.
How long did they work at?
Pardon?
How long did I hear you say 25 years? That's how long they went.
No. That's how long the AT&T has that contract.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I got you.
It's the
Guaranteed.
police and fire both run on that.
No, I understand. I misunderstood what you said.
So I guess the crystal ball question is, our SCADA system is working fine, but we have no support, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you want to take a chance and see how long it lasts or get ahead of it? I didn't think so.
No. We've been pushing it. Y'all know that individual that designed the program for our SCADA has passed away, and it's throughout the state. There's a lot of people scrambling to get a new system in. So the extra that would be for the sewer system, which we need as advice from the EPA. So
I have a question. So it's cellular for the wastewater monitoring, and then it would be the radio
I
for.
think if you're going to do cellular, you have to do cellular for all of them.
Okay, because I'm trying to. It says new cellular-based network for wastewater lift station, and continue using existing radio-based system,
I'm going to switch it around and do cellular and all.
cellular and all.
Yeah. I'd rather use radios. Radio across the board, all of them.
I'm sorry, you have me so thoroughly confused.
Okay. Right now, our water-based SCADA systems on the radios.
Right.
Okay, and we have the option of if we're going to when we do the sewer, the SCADA system in the sewer, we can either use the new cellular network, or we can use radio-based that we have now,
Mm-hmm.
and add it to the water. So, and I prefer to use radio. Okay, but if we're going to go cellular-based in sewer, I would suggest that we go ahead and kick all the water over to the cellular base also. So at least we'd have to have one thing to worry about.
Okay, so if you do that, is that option number 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Because the recommendation is for option number 2, but now you're saying option number 3. That's because I read what the SCADA review that Burgess and Niple provided, and the recommendation was option 2. Now you're talking option 3.
No, we doing option 1, right?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
The document says option 2.
That was just his recommendation, our guys.
Yeah. There's I'm
I'm going to put it in a bowl, pick out a number, and we'll just go with that.
I'm a fan of. I like the radio. The radio's been real good for us. And any issues radio. Sometimes we got radio goes down. We call it millers. They get prepared pretty quickly. Cellular base, if it goes down, who do I call?
Well, yeah, sure.
So,
I mean,
it's-
I agree with
yeah.
what you're saying. I'm just trying to determine what the cost is.
I'd go with option.
Option 1. So,
Based on the conversation we had the other day with Neptune, I disagree totally. Cellular is the way to go. It is the future. You can control these things off your iPhone. Okay? I mean, just having another piece of external equipment, whether it's a radio or whatever, is not the future.
can I ask a question about that? Redundancy, because I mean, do you end up in a situation where cellular doesn't work for whatever reason, there's a big disaster, when we've seen this happen before, then what's the redundancy? I mean, is radio, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're asking it right now. If one of our radios get down, we have a backup radio to be put in place. Wait, yes, we do. On a cellular network, we'd have to buy an extra data collector, I guess, what you call them.
No,
Just
no,
keep
no,
on shelf.
not for the cellular network.
Well, I
more
say
data collectors.
collector, when I say data collector, it's a data collector from that thing fits in the cellular network, goes out. It's in the bay. I call it data collector. It's probably called something different. I don't know what it's called. It takes the data from that lift station and throws it out into the cellular network. It's at that lift station. Each lift station will have it. It's not a data collector what we're referring to in water. Okay, that
So-
data collector has 6,000 meters up to it. We don't. That's not it.
So we're gonna have a discussion here in a few minutes, and data collector is something that you need to remember that term,
Okay.
okay? Data collector.
Well, let's just change the name. What is it? What are they called? I mean, they're
Well, I mean, the whole thing's the
Information.
telemetry.
yeah.
Yeah. It's PLC that takes the information in, sends it.
It doesn't matter if it's cellular or radio, it's still going to have that data collector there. That data collector is going to take the information from that lift station, put it either in a radio signal or a phone signal. Each place is going to have that little box, this little data collector. That's it. So not the ones that like in the water. That's completely different.
Yes,
They're huge.
yes, very expensive.
Yeah.
So that data collector is able to store information. If a system goes down, can it store information for a period of time until that information can be distributed out through either cellular or radio?
Geez, that would, not really. That won't really store information. That usually the base where we receive the signals, that's what stores the information.
Okay.
That data collector, when I say data collector, that's just, when we send a signal, say example pump. In our current SCADA system, I say I want to turn a pump off. It's going to send a radio signal out, go in that data collector, and it's going to turn the pump or whatever, turn off or turn on or whatever. Okay, we don't have that really have capabilities, but it can tell if it's on or off.
Okay, because I'm getting to my bigger question, which is that one of the reasons this has to be done, besides the fellow who designed it, and now that nobody else to write the program or whatever, my understanding is because the EPA now requires longer than 24 hours worth
Correct.
of data storage is where we're at now. That's our current system.
Yes.
I think it was 30 days or something to that effect.
24 hours.
I know it is now, but haven't the regulations changed and the EPA
Oh,
is
yeah,
now
yeah, I'm
requiring
sorry.
them
Yeah.
longer?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's longer
Longer
than
than
that. So my question is, is something storing the data so we're compliant if something fails, if we have a failure within cellular or radio?
The data will be stored on the main computer in the office.
Perfect.
How does the data get to the computer in the office if there's no radio or cellular service?
There is radios there.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes.
Because her question was, what happens if one of the telecommunications systems?
She asked me how long storage would be. The storage would always be on the mainframe computer in the office.
But her prior question was, if the cellular telephone, if we went with a cellular system, and Verizon decides, for whatever reason, Verizon goes down. Let's assume Verizon's the backbone. Is the data stored somewhere locally on either the pump system, so that we can come back and manually walk up to the machine, walk up to each individual pump, and take the data off of it, or does it stay there in storage until the cellular service comes back online?
Okay, the other thing we're doing is sending signals back and forth. Okay, when I say data, we're sitting on our main computer in there. We're telling the computer, okay, turn pump 4 off. It sends a signal either by Wi-Fi or from cellular or radio. It sends it to well field 11 through 14, and it says turn off, okay, or turn on. Usually, we don't have that capability to turn do, but I mean, we don't. There's a computer board at each well fields that can control pumps. I call that the data collector. Okay,
Right.
It's receiving the data, converting the data. then it goes into the controls that turns the pumps on and off.
This has nothing to do with billing.
No.
Okay, so
That's a whole.
we're not talking
we'll
about the
talk
individual
that.
ones. Okay.
It just, the only thing that data boxes are doing out in the field is taking the communication from wherever it's either cellular or radio, and collecting that, telling it what to do, reference turn things on and off, what's running, what isn't.
If the volume in the tank gets to a certain level,
Right.
it receives a signal
Right.
that says, we need
Turn it on.
water, turn the pump on. When it gets to the high level limit switch,
Turn it
it
off.
says we're 80% full, turn it off. And
That's it.
that's why you need a SCADA system, because if you don't have it, then you get to go do it manually, and we
Right.
can't do that. All right? It is simply a way of
Yeah.
monitoring your levels and your flow, whatever you ask it to do, and it works perfectly. And you can tell by watching the panel board what's open, what's closed, what direction the flow is going, those kind of things.
There's never any data stored at facilities. The only
I'm-
thing that has data storage capabilities is the mainframe computer here.
I'm completely satisfied with your explanation at this point. I just thought we were conflating issues. I was trying to help.
Yeah, we're just, other than this display, like we're working on a remote control car. We're
Yeah.
working that car, we're turning left. That's sending data to that data collector and that data collector and that little UTV car or whatever it is, turn left or right. That's the data collector and that. We're sending data here. It sends it back and forth. That's all we're doing.
From a practical standpoint, the collecting of the data, the saving of the historical data would be fine, except for if your machine says at 10:02 it received a signal to shut the valve off. You have no way of checking that unless you actually go in the field and look and see that the valve closed. So, I mean, unless you had some major issue where you needed to verify that it closed or it opened or whatever, it's just a routine operation. There's no need for historical data,
Not each location.
right?
We just gotta keep that data in our mainframe.
Yeah, that's for the wastewater. That's
Yeah.
really what you're looking at. So,
Yeah.
alarms. So.
As long as the system's working, it just stop and go. Turn off, turn on.
So which option are we going with? One, because we're in conflict. You say one, you like radio, he prefers cellular. I mean, what direction is this headed?
Well, I know what Randy's talking about, referring to what we're going to issue or deal with the meters, but it's not a data collector. And I still like a radio communication because we're able to access it or repair it a little quicker than we can in cellular. I don't like relying on a third company to come in and fix the cellular network on that part, okay? So it is a new wave, and he's right. It's AT&T, not Verizon. AT&T has a contract where it's a fixed, secure network. It's cellular base is good. And what level we'd be on is very secure and very high up. And when, like this, go back to the ratio, we all dealt with it, right? And everybody lost phone communication, correct? But now AT&T has an emergency band on that. It's a priority band. What it does is police and fire and 911 services like that is going to work before any us reference to private people. We're in that on this, and the meters would be in that section. Where it be with the 911 center emergency response. Okay. So we're up high on a chain on that. But
Mike, I know that your people did all of the groundwork on this. Well, I mean, obviously for this kind of money, we'll have to go out to bid on this system, but what are you all recommending for a company to provide this service for us? And who else uses that system that we can, maybe we do a little comparison here and say, are you radio? Are you cellular? What works? What are you guys? Okay. So we should check with the people around us. Parkersburg is obviously much bigger than we are. If they say that radio works best, I just know the other day from that presentation we had that eventually, all of the other forms are gonna go away. They're gonna go to the cellular-based network because it's, I mean, you control the thing right off your iPhone. You know, we have issues where if, you know, if we have to go back to the dishes for the communication, because, you know, Vienna's like a ridge, you know, some of our areas probably won't get covered if you have it that way. And so, even the cellular network's got issues with some of that. You know, but I'd like to know someone that's using it and what you're, not the system,
Yeah,
the company, who's the actual people.
yeah. I mean, the people we've talked to so far has been Scott Thornburg. Is they do a lot in the state, and they're used to it. I think they didn't seem to matter because they had gone out and looked at all the sites. I don't think they had any kind of issue, even the lift station site. So
With radio, I mean, if you're looking at $7, they're saying $7 monthly fees to do that. I mean, that's $8,000, $9,000 a year extra cost where we wouldn't have them. Radios never failed me. We've always had good luck with radios.
and so the issue, not that it's an issue, but cellular, no different than your phone, is going to change. Remember when we went from 3G to 4G, and now we're to 5G, and will that same system work in 10 years? That's kind of the question on the phone. So
You know, the system's not the issue, it's the programming that's the issue. I mean, we have the equipment in place and it works just fine. It's the fact that if the programming has a problem, nobody can fix it. That's the issue that we're having. And so, Craig deals with this every day. I'm certainly not going to second guess him based on his experience. However, I would like to know someone that's using both systems, if we can talk to someone.
Sure.
And find out, what issues have you had? How much maintenance do you do on that? So just gather some more information because,
Yeah, even our water-based network, we have had to go out and replace antennas. We've had to go out and replace radios. Miller's Communication had been right there. We've got them replaced it today. So I'm calling AT&T up, say, hey, I need a new box. I'm just not best of service. You all got phones. We know how it works. So
no argument.
so it goes down. You need a new phone right now because it's really our lifeblood anymore, unfortunately. But sometimes it's difficult to get a new phone pretty quick and get back up and running. I can get radio quicker. And there is savings, cost savings, both up front and long term. And radio's been around since 1900s. Right, Russ?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I don't know when the radio was.
Bio
but-
farms work. Dumb question. You guys were talking about technology, and it kind of dovetails into legal issues. What are with the radio? One of the things that we've dealt with recently has been obsolescence of certain items, things becoming obsolete or not replaced.
Yeah.
Are we going to have any technological issues replacing radio equipment if something happens to it?
No, we're on a private frequency in the UFS. And we've had
UHF?
that frequency for 40 years now.
And what about the devices, the broadcasts, the
Devices,
receivers?
It's just a radio.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, just a radio base. It's just like you fit in a car or whatever. It's just a radio. Nothing special about it.
Well, they're taking AM radios out of cars, which is why I'm asking.
Accelerator, too.
Yeah. No, they did. They replaced them with. But I'm saying that
You're getting old.
if one of the things that you're worried about with some of these other things is obsolescence, or is that an issue with the radio?
There's more of a change in cellular than there
I
is in
understand.
UFF. UHF. UHF has not changed. Radio's gotten more per year. We got digital, all that stuff. But UHF hasn't changed in 30 years. So. Cellular network has changed a lot in the last.
Yeah, we went
10
from
months.
to digital,
Yeah.
3G, 5G, LTE, 5G.
Find us a couple of references, Mike. We'll make some calls. Okay. I have a meeting next Wednesday with everybody on both West Virginia and Ohio. I will ask them what they do with their SCADA systems and see if I can get any information from the mayors of those cities. All right. Okay. Any other questions that we can get information on for you all before we move on? All right. So Lori, put that back on again. I know Craig wants to make a decision to get something moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to have it done summer.
All right. I'd like to, before we move, is there anything else under old business? All right. Before we go into new business, I'd like to ask for an executive session, discuss a legal matter. And so I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. So we move to second that we go into executive session to discuss a legal matter. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so let the record reflect we went into executive session at 1:45. I would like you to come with us. Okay. Go in the conference room. All right, let the record reflect, we came back into regular session at 2:15, that no decisions were made, it was information only. And so we'll go back to our agenda this afternoon. We move now to new business. First item on our agenda is the Neptune system discussion. Craig, would you explain to the board the difference between the metering system that we have now and the metering system that is
Sure.
available?
Yeah, right now we have what we call the R450s, and it is a fixed base network. The meter reads to a data collector, data collects it for 24 hours, and sends that data packet to a fiber network or a fiber dish network, and back to our computers, and we download it every 24 hours. We do the billing off that. The new meter system is what we call the R900Is. With a cellular-based antenna on it, so it would eliminate the data collector and the fiber internet. And it reads every 15 minutes and sends that packets out back to our billing software. Our 450s is going to become extinct at some time soon. Old technology.
When we originally did it, we had a 20-year system. We're now into our 10th year. And so as we go into it, the first 10 years was a exchange basis on the meter or, any meter that needed repair. We simply sent it in, we got a replacement. Now there's a sliding scale based on the years left on the warranty itself. So that's a factor to be considered is the older the meters get, the less value that there is there. And so we're going to have to consider that part of it as well. Okay. Any questions from the board? All right. So we will continue to gather information, Russ, whatever we need to do, and then we'll come and try to figure out what's the plan forward as far as an upgrade or what other options that we have. All right. Okay. So now we move on to the fun part of the meeting. Items B, C, and D are the water budget, the sewer budget, and the stormwater budget. They all were in the Dropbox for you to look at. And we'll talk about each one of them individually, and then we'll vote to approve them, or need to modify it in some way, then we'll do that as well. So we'll start with the water budget. Amy, would you give us the highlights, please?
Sure. The only difference in the revenue is last year I had pulled in the $730,000 from ARPA. This year I don't believe I have numbers to show for that at this time. So I didn't include it in revenue, but I also didn't include it in expenses. So at the time we know what that is, then I will bring it in. Revenues are what they are. We have rates and we have the number of customers, and it stays pretty consistent from year to year. As far as expenses go, I did build in a 65-cent pay increase, which City Council was built into the city budget during that budget time. So I have also built it into this. It's 65 cents plus 35 cents, which is the longevity that the employees get every year. Other than that, June will be our last payment, I believe, on our water tank refurbishment bonds. So that frees up some money for next year. I have put in a replacement vehicle for, I believe, one that had engine or something. Yes, mechanical issues. So you'll see that under capital expenditure. I built in payments for a truck, and then I have taken the amount that's left, which was basically the payments from the bond that we are no longer going to be paying on, and that is just listed under miscellaneous capital improvement so that it can be put towards a project at some point.
Amy, the miscellaneous, where is that at?
It's on the very last page.
Okay.
You look under capital expenditure.
Oh, down at the bottom, okay.
Mm-hmm. And that is basically things that, if you look, Kim had asked for the short budget report for water. There were a few issues this year, mainly chemicals. The price of chemicals has gone up, and so that budget line item has been a bit of a problem. Let's see what else. That was the main one, I think, that we had an issue with. Does anybody have questions about water? So we'll move on to sewer. Once again, same revenues, customers, rates. People use typically similar amounts of water over the course of a year. I reflected the pay increase, and other than that, there's not a lot of change to sewer fund, just a few items here and there that needed adjusted. We have the vac truck that we're still paying for in the sewer fund, and then I've calculated in the payments sewer fund portion of the F-450, which is a one-ton dump. Yeah, and so that's sewer fund. We had an issue in one of the accounts with postage costs because postage has gone up. Maybe twice last year, I don't know. But since the budget was done, I think it's gone up twice. So that created an issue, and I have adjusted that account. Do you have questions about sewer? Stormwater. Stormwater, once again, revenues are consistent. It was put in the city budget to basically transfer $100,000 to the stormwater fund from the general fund. When it comes out at the bottom, things were adjusted for the pay increase. There was an additional, basically $150,000 that can be put towards a project. And that's how I have it listed. So I guess if you were talking about, doing the 28th Street, you could say, all right, we have $150,000 that we could take and put towards that project. Obviously, it will be more than that, but if you wanted to do that with those funds. Are there any questions?
Okay. You all have heard Amy's explanations of the budgets. It's pretty straightforward. Russ, can we do them all the same? You want an individual motion for each one?
I'd recommend doing them individually unless you plan on reviewing. Hold on, let me ask you. When you say individually, what do you mean?
Well, I can entertain a motion for the approval of the water, sewer, and stormwater budgets. It takes one vote.
That's fine.
If we do it, we'll do it
general
separately and do
and
one
pull
for,
separate.
one for each if that's.
No, that's
Okay. Since we have no discussion, I'm assuming that everyone's got their questions answered and we're ready, so I think one will work. But I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the water, sewer, and stormwater budgets for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Second.
And moved and seconded that we approve the water, sewer, and stormwater budgets for the Vienna Utility Board for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising their right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Amy, for all your work. I know that you spend a lot of time on these.
she does a great job. Yeah,
She does a great job, absolutely. Just wish she had more money to work with. She could do a really great job.
I don't like numbers she puts down, but she does a great job with the numbers.
Yeah.
Are what they are.
All right, Amy, I know you're busy. You're excused if you need to leave.
Yeah, I wanted to have a short.
You're welcome to stay because we're going to do manager's
Okay,
report and then
all
go.
right, I'll stay.
All right, Craig, manager's report.
Couple things. The cruise has been out working. We've had placed some storm drain collapse on 25th Street, and we had to place that. Very few water leaks. Main breaks have done real well. We did yesterday. This week, we installed the 6-inch water line up along Spencer's Lane railroad tracks to allow water service to get up towards the parking lot for washing or future restrooms, whatever we need to do. So we had some old pipe. Blue pipe was turning white, so we wanted to use it up, get it around, replenish our stock, get back in 6 inch pipe, back in our stock. So we used it there. We capped it off for future use, wherever they choose to go. Still waiting any kind of report from Department of Health in reference to Lonsdale Drive. We do have the pipe on hand to install a 2-inch from railroad tracks up to Lonsdale and service the 6 customers in that area. So I know that Department of Health was doing some testing in the area. Waiting game. Hopefully they help the expense, get them people out of well service and get potable water.
They on sewer.
Pardon?
They on sewer.
They are in sewer, yes. They have individual pumps. They don't have water, they have well water. So individual well water. Everything else going pretty well. Getting into vacation time. A lot of guys take vacation, so we're running short-handed. We will be flushing hydrants next week. So if you see a lot of water run down the street, it's not a water break. We're just flushing hydrants through our semi-annual flushing of hydrants. So while we're out, we're going to try to do some testing on flows, especially with the new line installed on the road. Flows. The sample. Let's see if we can do that. Said 45th. They start next week. That's good. It's been a great project. Everybody's happy with that. Let's get it done. So.
8th Avenue.
Huh?
8th Avenue.
8th Avenue.
Stopers.
Oh yeah. We did acquire the catch basin set in that. Do have pipe on hand. We just got to get a couple end caps, and once we get our jobs completed, we're going to move over to Stopers. It is growing grass, so we're going to come here and take the base out, put some river gravel in, and install a pipe in the catch basin. The catch basin has approximately 6 foot deep. They'll put the pipe down 6 foot, and should start working really well. I think there's a little bit of standing water over there, but
Yeah.
so we'll start taking that out. We'll shape it towards the catch basin. And once we get done, we'll plant flowers and bushes and stuff like that. So make it more of a rain garden like we have out here. So. Anything else? Do so much, I forget sometimes.
I'm just waiting on you. Okay. So we find ourselves in a situation where we're still waiting on trucks. I mean, it's production's picked up some, but we're not having much luck getting trucks. And then today, Craig got a call from one of the people that we buy our trucks from, and they actually got a truck in stock. And so that's very rare. Usually you wait months to get a truck. And we've taken how many trucks out of service this year? 3. We've replaced it with 1. Okay. And so the truck that you got information on today, what are you thinking about as far as what department?
It would be coming
The
out of water.
money's built into water.
Yes. And what I'd do would be replace it for Unit 10, which had the motor.
Okay. But where's that in the budget, Amy?
it was on the last page of the budget. I built in payments for a
So
new
we
truck.
cannot get it until next year.
Well, I mean, at this point, by the time we would go out for financing, it's gonna be July before we make the payment.
Will they hold the truck?
They have in the past, they did with the last one we purchased, they held it for about a month. As long as I say, yeah, we're gonna go get it out, so.
Yeah, it's gonna take Thursday to get, till Thursday for it to come out on paper. It's gonna take 2 weeks after that, get the results of the financing, and it has approved, and by the time we sign the papers, we're not gonna make a payment until July.
Okay.
He's been real good to this company for 20-something, 25 years, so. And he's motors also.
But we have to put the truck and the finance for it, yeah, that's right. But
Been
still,
real good to work with.
same time frame.
Okay, so if we get started on it now, you think the timing will be pretty close to what we need to do?
Would. Time to get the paper,
Yeah.
actually be
Oh.
almost July for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and it's in the budget for next year. Let's see if we can get ahead on it and not have to wait till December before we get delivery of another truck.
You're not gonna be able to take, it's gonna have to wait until July 1st for purchase, and you can't, it comes in earlier than July 1st. Okay,
We're not gonna do, we're not,
Okay,
Now, that was the reason why I asked that, Chris. I know exactly, and then next year's budget doesn't start till next year, so.
Yeah.
But it just happens that chances of finding one in stock are.
right, no, there's no.
And they may not hold it either, cause it's,
Yeah,
They're like
yeah,
old.
I could ask them, they, like I say, they've worked well with us in the past, I can't guarantee anything, cause it is a pretty hot market.
And that's what I'm saying, there's nothing that says you can't start the bidding process now. There's nothing that says that you couldn't locate it.
Unless you're police and fire.
No.
I had that same conversation with the chief yesterday. It's called public service, public safety, okay?
Oh, what a week.
Public safety, all right.
Better be an emergency.
Let me shut up, man,
hey,
down,
we're
see how much
finally
public
getting
service we
one
have.
cruiser. We're finally getting one cruiser. It's been like 3
Joe,
years.
anything for you today, sir?
Nothing here, Mayor.
Steve?
Some
No,
trouble.
sir. John? Him? Yeah. I have nothing else. Oh, I forgot Russ,
I'm good.
legal.
Right.
Lori?
Yes, sir.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming. It's always a ball. Have a nice day. See you. Meeting adjourned.